Good afternoon, friends and colleagues, and I am really sorry about this delay today. Uh, Welcome to the second webinar of the USAID and Reliance Foundation Women Connect India Speaker Series 2. The topic for today's discussion is digital content for women. As we motivate women to start using digital tools and use such digital tools and platforms to shift behaviors and practices of women, the capability of the content we create, curate, and promote to engage, and influence these women become critical. But how do we ensure that the content we use or create is appropriate for our target audience? And how do we analyze its impact? We have with us representatives from two organizations today, Sangeeta and Nirmala ji, who's joining in a while from Grambani, and Usha, Anusha, and Mayuk from Access Development Services. Both Grambani and Access Development Services have created and effectively used digital content to engage and influence rural women through their interventions. And I'm grateful that they have agreed to be present today to share their experiences and learnings. Welcome, everybody. As audience, we have representatives from the awardee organizations of the Women Connect Challenge 2021, along with colleagues from Reliance Foundation, USAID, DAI, and Dev Global. I also see Emma from MasterCard, Center for Social Inclusion, among the attendees. Hello, Emma. Uh, Thank you for participating. Uh, my name is Ritesh Datta, a Gender and Technology Advisor at DAI and your host. And I just got a message saying that my audio is fuzzy. So let me just try and disconnect this device that I'm using. Um,
Uh, Ruthie, is this a little better?
Yes, thank you, Ritesh.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I was just saying that, not that you'll need my introduction again, but I'm Ritesh Datta. I am a Gender and Technology Advisor at DAI and your host for the webinar. The Women Connect Challenge India, rolled out jointly by USAID and Reliance Foundation with DAI's assistance, is the national version of the Women Connect Challenge initiative, rolled out by USAID in 2018 to support innovative projects which facilitate women's access to digital tools and solutions. The speaker series, which is part of the India Challenge 2021, is primarily targeted at our awardees, but are also relevant for other social development organizations which are working towards eliminating gender digital divide in the country. They will be able to access the recording of these webinars on the Digital Frontiers YouTube page, on which these webinars are uploaded post-production for public viewing. Coming back to the webinar for today, the discussion around digital content. Basically, when we look at digital interventions, it broadly comprises of four major components: the technology platform or the application, the content available on the platform, the offline mobilization or marketing to drive engagement, and the data and data collection and analysis for iterative solution development. While the access and usage of the relevant hardware and the technology application is critical to ensure that our target audience gets to the content and information we want them to consume, it is the relevance of the content which makes them stay and come back for more. Engaging content can also be in different formats. It can range from an audiovisual, let's say a soap on our favorite television or radio channel, to information on an application like the Sports for Development mobile application that Nandi Foundation is building, or YouTube, for example, to the ability to make personal conversations such as WhatsApp. While limited access and usage of phones and computers by women does force the hand of private players, who then sort of cater to the men who are ready consumers. But creating content designed to their needs and requirements, making most content readily available, not possibly as responsive to a rural women's information and entertainment needs as to a man's. Many of us, in order to incorporate digital solutions in our gender digital divide work, have to turn to such private players for design and development of such tools. But while we do that, how do we ensure that the solutions and content we create remain true to the needs of our target women? How do we build in iterative processes for development of new content? I'm keen to hear from our esteemed speakers about their solutions and how they have ensured such aspects in their digital solutions targeted at rural women. We will hear from our esteemed speakers in a minute, after which we will have an open Q&A round. So remember to note down your questions while you hear from the speakers so that you can ask them at the end. So our first speakers today are Usha, Anusha, and Mayuk from Access Development Services. Usha Yadav is a women entrepreneur from Lucknow. She runs a Kirana store. She has been an active participant in Access's Project Samriddhi, targeted at women business owners. Anusha Singh leads the Samriddhi project in Lucknow and Kanpur and has conceptualized and anchored the content development for the program that representatives from Access will be talking about today. She has extensive experience of working with women, specifically through the Self-Help Group Federation model across multiple states. And we also have Mayuk Hajra, who is the Associate Vice President at Access. He works on multiple projects related to women's livelihoods across rural and urban contexts, and is closely associated with the project team, with the Samriddhi project team. Over to you, Anusha, Mayuk, and Usha ji.
Thank you so much, Ritesh. Good evening, everyone. I'll quickly begin. Before I start actually my presentation, I would like to show everybody a small video that we have created, a YouTube video, after which maybe we can begin a conversation on our presentation.
अरे दरवाजा खोलो, ये क्या बचपना है।
कितनी बार बोलूं, नहीं खोलूंगी।
बच्चे भी देख रहे हैं, उनके बारे में तो सोचो।
मैं बच्चों के बारे में सोचूं और तुम? इतना बड़ा फैसला अपने आप ही ले लिया। नेहा के स्कूल से फोन आया था।
मेरे पास और कोई रास्ता नहीं है, समझने की कोशिश करो।
बुद्धिमनी,
प्लीज जल्दी आइए, घर में तूफान मचा है।
हाँ, बुद्धिमनी।
अरे, सब इतने उदास क्यों हैं?
माँ बाबा से नाराज है।
और अनीता भाभी दरवाजा नहीं खोल रही है।
अनीता, प्लीज बाहर आ जाओ। इन्होंने मुझे बताए बिना नेहा का स्कूल बंद करवा दिया। बुद्धिमनी, ऐसा कौन करता है?
बुद्धिमनी, लॉकडाउन के बाद दुकान में ना कोई खरीदार है और ना कोई आमदनी। दोनों बच्चों की फीस कैसे भरूं?
नरेश, हर चुनौती का समाधान मिलके हो सकता है, अगर शांति से सोचो तो।
So what we saw right now, I just played almost 1.5 minutes of the video, and it's available on YouTube. So this is a small snippet of a character called Buddhimani that was created while we were creating digital content for our program. So today, when we are speaking about what we are going to do, first let's start out by talking why exactly and who we create these videos for, who we create these content for, and how we create this content. So just before we get into it, the character Buddhimani, who you saw right now, just to break it down, Buddhi, well, in Hindi stands for wisdom, and well, Mani stands for money. So she was sort of like a superwoman character, aspirational character that we had sort of built and visualized as a 3D animation character who teaches and delivers financial education modules to our population. So we'll get into her character and how we go on creating content. But who do we create our content for? Who is this target population? So Access it works across India, across 8 states with women of various settings. But for today's presentation, I'll take you across how we have created content for one specific program called Samriddhi program. Even Ritesh mentioned it, and all of us associated with the program as well. So Samriddhi program is a flagship initiative that is supported by USAID and MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth. It works in urban and semi-urban areas of Uttar Pradesh. So just to give you a little bit of context, when we had done our assessments, around 42% of our women reported an annual income of less than 645 US dollars, or in Indian rupees at least 50,000 rupees. 20% of these women were illiterate. 37% of these women didn't even own a smartphone. And even if they owned a smartphone, their usage of the phone was restricted to, say, making calls, using WhatsApp, and maybe accessing it to some level for Facebook or for YouTube. Things like online payments, surfing the internet, exploring applications were usually not done by the women of the family, but they were done by the male members, their spouses, or their children. 87% of these kiranas are unregistered businesses, and they operate in a very informal manner. And when we were doing our study, we realized that 99% of these women had never received any sort of formal training, or no capacity building initiatives they had not gone any under capacity building initiative. So this is the population that we were dealing with when we had started our program here. And then we had to come and conceptualize how is it that we create content for these women, and how do we impart knowledge about, say, financial inclusion, financial literacy, digital literacy, and how do we teach all of these content to these women who belong to this background. So what we decided was, we realized that only creating digital content or giving everything to them, say on a YouTube, this thing, or an application will not work. So we had to create a package where it was a combination of 3 things. The first one was a training module that we had built, which was a mix of an in-person module. So they had we had n number of we had 9 modules that we had decided that these are the topics that we will be teaching our women, and we had created modules around these. These components or these topics were given to them as in-person trainings. Along with this, we had also so the in-person trainings had been done through a classroom type learning ambience. We had experts and trainers and experts who were there to conduct these trainings. And of course, we had also created platforms for peer learning, where we created these clubs or self-help group sort of format called Buddhi Money clubs, where women could come and learn from each other, and sort of like a collective learning experience they could get from these groups. So these are the features. This is how the training modules that we had created were imparted. Along with these, we had created the animation film and videos, a snippet of which you had seen earlier today. The Buddhi Money videos, a character called Buddhi Money was introduced, and she would take the audience through a journey where they would learn about digital literacy, they would learn about banking, they would learn about how is it that you can access credit, how can you manage credit, how do you do business promotion. So there are n number of topics that this character would take you through. A storytelling approach is what we went for while we were making these videos, so that they are interactive and the audience relates to the characters that they're seeing on the screen. So either it be Buddhi Money or either it be other character, whoever it is that they're seeing, they can relate to them as a Buddhi Money as a mentor, as an inspiration, and also another protagonist which we had introduced called Roshni. Roshni in Hindi means light. So she was used as a protagonist for the women to relate to, where they could see themselves as Roshni, and Roshni's growth is what they aspired to do. So these are the protagonists that we had created around our content and used it in various animation videos and case studies. And these are how our content was delivered to them. Also, the training app was also designed. These training apps have these modules which were made for in-person trainings. These modules were then converted into voiceover videos. And these videos are self-learning modules that are put in the applications, where the women can access these videos and their own free time, they can consume it. So any technical topic that they want to consume, other than the animation videos, they could get these voiceover modules and learn from them. And they can learn it at their own pace and convenience. Whenever they find a little bit of free time between their day, they could go and open the app, and then they could watch a video and learn it. Also, there were interactive, we had tried to make our application very interactive, and we made it a point that it is user friendly. So it is very interactive in nature, where we have introduced things like quizzes, certain key messages have been reiterated. There are, when they do quizzes, there are trophies and congratulatory messages that encourage the women to keep learning and watching videos, self-learning videos a little bit more and learning from the content. So what we're trying to say is, when we started in a program here in Uttar Pradesh, or any other program that we start with, when we realized that a lot of women that we work with actually do not have access to a smartphone, where we had to go and teach them initially how to use a smartphone and then get a little bit more tech savvy. It was not enough to just push the agenda of digital content. It had to start with classroom or in-person trainings. It was a blend of both, physical and virtual trainings that was combined with the Buddhimani club meetings that we do, which promoted peer learning sessions. They had WhatsApp groups that we also created with these Buddhimani club meetings, where they could share the digital content. And ultimately, they started getting a little bit more they started frequently using the YouTube channel to watch Buddhimani videos, and then going and using the training application. So it has been a gradual process where we have gone from in-person to a training app. These are the glimpses of our training app that is present over here, where you can see a list of modules are present over here. And whenever they get some questions right, or whenever they complete a module successfully, they get a gold trophy or a silver trophy based on their performance in the quiz or while completing the module. There's also a feature where they can record, a support feature is there, where the women need not type in what their query is. They can drop in an audio recording, and we can reply or get to their concerns and help them support. So these are the glimpses of the training app that we have built. It's called the Buddhimani training app, and it's available on App Store. So this is the type of content we have and who we cater to. So how did we go about creating this content? Initially, what we did was we did a needs assessment. And when you see a needs assessment, we did multiple rounds of focus group discussion. We did one-on-one interaction with women. We tried to understand what the gaps in the knowledge were, what were the different types of understanding about different topics and different materials that they had, what were the barriers that they faced accessing and acquiring these knowledge, and what was the literacy levels, and what is their attitude towards even attending a training or education or any capacity building initiatives. So based on the needs assessment, we came up with a strategy, and that's when we went into the content creation mode. Well, we all know that it is very easy when we are making content to, suppose, say, if we learn something about financial management, it's very easy for us to say, okay, let's just do like profit and loss statements, and let's figure out end of the day how much money we get, because we learn this from a college, or we have some sort of like a mathematical or some sort of calculative background. But when we were working with women, even though we have to teach them some complex materials, we had to simplify the content so much that anybody could understand it. So the very first thing that we thought that we need to do is, even in the modules that we had shortlisted, how is it that we make these complex topics and these modules that we have so thought that we will make, how do we simplify this content for the target population so that the content is crisp and they can digest it and also they can retain it. So that was the very first thing. We shortlisted what topics we will impart as a part of our trainings, and also how to simplify these topics. In each of the topics, what we thought we should do is we should at least have, say, 2 to 3 key messages that are linked to some particular learning outcome. So if I am undergoing, if I'm watching one, a voiceover module video, or if I'm watching a YouTube animated video, what is it that the 2 or 3 key messages can I get out of watching that one thing? And it will be reiterative process, so that, even if I'm watching one video and I'm spending 4 minutes watching the video, or I'm spending 20 minutes watching a video, what are the 2 or 3 things I will remember, like my brain will retain and adopt in the future? So that's something we made it a point that, we shortlist these messages and we reiterate them. As I mentioned earlier, of course, we always adopted a storytelling approach where we had characters like Buddhimani and Roshni, who women can relate to. So Buddhimani, of course, is the iconic superwoman who will inspire, amuse, and who will be sort of like a mentor and guide. Meanwhile, Roshni will be the woman next door who they can relate to and identify with. So these are the things we used in our protagonists while we were creating the content. Then we also, other than the key messages, we also provided a set of those doable items, like if I complete a said module, if I watch a certain things, what are the two things that I can take and do it immediately? What is the benefit that I can get out of it? So we tried to ensure that any small thing, any small video, any module that they undertake, even a 1-hour training that they attend, that they should get some actionable items and some benefits out of the system, so that the entire process, that they can use it in their daily lives in the future when they go and they finish this training. And also the content that we create, we ensured that it was technically correct, it was reviewed by experts from the field. After the content was created, we piloted this content before finalizing it. And we didn't pilot it at one. What we did is we had various cohorts of women, depending on education level, depending on how much they earn and their income level. So depending on tech savviness, education, and whatever the different types of learning ability, we divided these women and we piloted the content, and after which the feedback was received and we finalized our content for digital as well as for the in-person modules. And also we ensure that anything that we are creating is available in the local language. So if you're working in a state of Assam, we ensure that the videos and everything is in Assamese or a Bengali, or say in Uttar Pradesh when you're working, we ensure that all our content is available in Hindi. We also change images and illustrations based on relevance and relatability. So if we are, when we are doing our gender sessions and any other sessions that we are doing online or virtually or even through videos, we ensure that whoever is consuming this can relate to the images that they're seeing on the screen. So from the way from what they wear to what they see to the context, it is contextualized based on the people that they see it. And of course, it also has the locally relevant information, where anything from information about the institutions to government schemes, everything is contextualized to fit the local setting. So this is the journey of our content creation. Mayuk will take over after this. Mayuk, over to you.
Thank you, Anusha. Can you change the slide? Yeah. Thank you, Anusha, for sharing those slides, and good afternoon to everyone who's on the webinar once again. I'll just highlight some of the learnings that you have had in our content development and deployment journey. And a lot of this has already been spoken by Anusha, so I'll just highlight a few points. So starting off, we have seen that the value of the digital content really comes in, really kicks in when it is ensconced within a larger capacity building portfolio, which also has the in-person or the human connect part to it. So we felt that the digital value of the digital really lies in reiterative learning. So it's a set of knowledge that's available in small doses for the woman to go back to anytime they want, at their own convenience, at their own learning pace. So that is where it comes in. But in-person training to support all of this always helps to reiterative learning. In terms of protagonist, Anusha already referred to how Roshni is a next door woman who is very relatable to, and Buddhimani is this iconic superwoman that the woman can look up to, be inspired by. The other important point over here of having a protagonist is is that it enables recall, because we have multiple modules within the curriculum. And whenever the Buddhimani comes in, it immediately strikes a bell, and the woman is is able to get back to what she has learned in the earlier modules. So there's a whole, it fits in, what we are learning today fits into a broader spectrum of what we have learned throughout the training program. So that having a brand ambassador really helps in terms of enabling recall. Learning by doing, Anisha has talked about. Another important point is we look at and bring in both the individual and peer learning processes. So it's good to learn on your own, at your own pace, at your own convenience, to give that opportunity to the woman. But it's also important to build in places where the women who are learning together can come together and actually share their doubts, raise their questions. And it's important not only because some of the doubts get resolved because the other woman has responses to their doubts, but also if there are doubts are common, they actually get that level of confidence to bring those doubts to us. They know that, okay, none of us have understood this. Let's go and talk to the creators about what this means. So it really helps in internalizing the content for the woman. And of course, I don't need to stress this again too much, and every one of us knows this. It's important to have the content offline because the learning experience cannot be compromised. If I am looking at the video and it stops midway, I am not going to get back to that video. The woman will not do that. So it's really important to make it available offline. This is what on the content specifically. There are two other items that I would like to highlight. One, Anisha has spoken about how when we went into the field, we realized that it's good to have the digital content, good quality content in hand, but then that doesn't solve all your problems, because for the woman to be able to access that content, there are other barriers that need to be crossed. So even in a city like Lucknow, we saw that only 30 to 40% of the women actually had smartphones. Of those who had smartphones, they were not even utilizing all the full features. So there we had to bring an entirely separate module on digital literacy, where we taught them how to use smartphones, how to use its various features. And that really helped in the woman to be able to access this app in a much more engaged manner. And of course, it's important to keep the woman's family also engaged in our capacity building endeavors, because at the end of the day, these tools are to be accessed at home as well. So you need the support of your family, of your husband, of your spouse, of your children. And we have seen that their access to technology or to a device also improves if you do this. And many times you have seen the children actually helping out the mother to navigate through the technology to see how you move from one page to the other. While these are the learnings, we have some co-benefits we have observed in terms of women who actually start using digital content. We have seen that now that they are more comfortable using a smartphone, they are actually opening up to the whole world of knowledge out there available on the internet. They are starting to do the shopping online. They are on various apps. And not just that, we also see that because now they are good at handling a smartphone, they don't feel that they are anywhere less than the vendor who comes to the shop. So they are able to negotiate at equal footing with whoever is dealing with them, because now they don't feel technology challenged. They know that they can handle a smartphone as good as everyone else. Anusha, can you change the slide?
I have.
And you have changed it? Okay, I see the former slide. Okay, so that was more on the learnings and what we have seen as the benefits. And I will just try to wrap up before wrapping up, should we move to Usha Devi? Sorry, I didn't see the slide.
Yeah.
Usha ji will come on now and share her experience about using the app and the other tools that we have created. Usha ji, aap shuru kar sakte hain.
मैं लखनऊ से हूँ। लखनऊ के ढोलक एक जगह है जहाँ पर मेरी एक छोटी सी शॉप है, उसे मैं 2 साल से चला रही हूँ। मेरे हस्बैंड की जॉब चली गई थी कोरोना काल में, जिसकी वजह से मुझे शॉप की जिम्मेदारी लेनी पड़ी अपने परिवार को चलाने के लिए। मैं शॉप पर जब स्टार्टिंग में बैठती थी तो मुझे काफी बोरिंग लगता था मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगी, लेकिन फिर भी वो एक सिचुएशन ऐसी थी कि जिसे मुझे करना ही था, लेकिन करती थी, मैं जैसे तैसे कर ही रही थी। फिर एक दिन मुझे इस प्रोग्राम के बारे में पता चला, फिर धीमे धीमे इसमें मैं मीटिंग्स में गई और इसके थ्रू मुझे बुद्धिमनी के बारे में पता चला, उसकी वीडियोस के बारे में पता चला और उनकी वीडियोस से मुझे काफी इंस्पिरेशन मिला। मैं मुझे ऐसा लगने लगा कि मैं अपनी शॉप को चला सकती हूँ। काफी कुछ ऐसा था जो मुझे नहीं मालूम था, सब कुछ बिल्कुल नया नया सा था। कभी इस चीज के बारे में सोचा नहीं था कि जीवन में मुझे ये भी करना पड़ सकता है। लेकिन फिर इस प्रोग्राम के सहारे मुझे काफी जो है नॉलेज मिला और इंटरनेट के बारे में, डिजिटल पेमेंट के बारे में काफी कुछ ऐसा था जो मुझे नहीं आता था। मैं मीटिंग्स में जाती थी, वहां पर सीखती थी। कुछ ऐसा होता था जो मैं अपने बच्चों से, स्पेशली मैं अपनी बेटी से जो कि 9th क्लास में है इस बार, वो मुझे काफी कुछ बताती थी इसके बारे में। कई बार मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि जो डिजिटल पेमेंट करते हैं वो पेमेंट कहीं ऐसा ना हो मेरा सामान चला जाएगा और मुझे पेमेंट भी नहीं मिलेगा। लेकिन फिर धीमे धीमे जब मैं करने लगी तो मुझे अब समझ में आने लगा कि हाँ ये ठीक है और सेफ भी है, इसके थ्रू मैं कर सकती हूँ। और आज मैं अपनी दुकान को काफी अच्छे तरह से मैनेज करती हूँ, सेल्समैन को और जो कस्टमर आते हैं उनको अच्छे से डील कर पाती हूँ। अपना जो सामान मंगाना होता है मैं ऑनलाइन भी कभी कभी मंगा लेती हूँ, और बाकी जो मैं लेती हूँ वो करती हूँ। मेरा परिवार मुझे काफी सपोर्ट करता है, मेरे हस्बैंड हैं जो कि मुझे बाहर से सामान लाकर और काफी चीजों में हेल्प करते हैं। और सर मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं इस प्रोग्राम से जुड़कर बहुत कुछ सीखी हूँ और आगे भी सीख पाऊंगी। और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि मैं इससे जब जुड़ी हूँ तो मुझे थोड़ा सा मेरे जीवन में एंजॉयमेंट आया, वरना मैं ऐसे कर रही थी, बस लगता था कि एक ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है जिसे मुझे करना ही है, बस ऐसा लगता था। लेकिन अब मुझे अच्छा लगता है, मैं 100 पे बैठती हूँ तो मुझे रोज सुबह उठती हूँ तो लगता है आज कुछ नया हो, आज कुछ नया होगा, नए कस्टमर मिलेंगे, कुछ नया सीखने को मिलेगा, और ऐसा सीखने को भी मिलता है। और सर इसमें एक रोशनी थी, रोशनी की कहानी के बारे में मैंने सुना। उस रोशनी की कहानी से मुझे काफी इंस्पिरेशन मिला था। स्टार्टिंग में जब मैंने वो स्टोरी देखी तो मुझे लगा कि हाँ जब रोशनी कर सकती है तो मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकती, मैं भी कर सकती हूँ। और बुद्धिमनी के थ्रू मुझे काफी अच्छे अच्छे नॉलेज मिले, उनके वीडियोस देखकर, उनके क्विज सॉल्व करके। जब मैं क्विज सॉल्व करती तो मुझे अच्छा लगता था, फिर उसके बाद मुझे उसमें मार्क्स मिलते थे, तो मन में एक वो होती थी कि हाँ अभी मेरा एक मार्क्स इसमें रह गया, मैं अगली बार और ट्राई करूंगी तो कुछ अच्छा होगा। थैंक
Thank
you,
you,
Usha ji.
Usha. Uh, Anusha, do we have the slides up on the axis?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was Usha ji, and I'll just try to wrap up our presentation with the final slide on what we do at the organization level. So Access, the vision of Access revolves around providing inclusive and innovative livelihood solutions to the poor. And we essentially operate at 3 levels, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. At the tier 1 level, we engage with communities directly. So we have our ongoing projects. We currently are operating in 8 states, and we have more than 35 projects being implemented at the moment. At the tier 2, it's more about advisory and techno-managerial services. So that is where we do the consultancy and research-based projects, including helping governments to come up with the design their programs and also capacity building programs. And at the tier 3, we are working on the policy influence space, and not just looking back at our own projects, but at the and all the set of interventions across the development sector by other partners or other agencies, and trying to pull out learnings for sharing across these actors. And 2 of our flagship initiatives over here are the Livelihoods India Summit and the Inclusive India Finance Summit, which are annual events which are held in partnership with Niti Aayog. And we have currently working in 8 states. On an average, we're impacting more than 3 lakh households every year. And our work primarily is around micro enterprises, working with micro enterprises, artisans, small and marginal farmers, and women. In fact, more than a third of our portfolio of projects is directly related to women. In terms of coming back to the topic for today, the digital content that we talked about, while we spoke from our experience from the about Buddhimani and from the Samriddhi program, we ensure that these content of this nature is in a generic manner, available in generic manner, so that we try to adopt it across as many of our projects as possible, and also make it available to partners who want to use it or have a reason to have a space to use it. And we have really seen that in the evolving scenario, digital content will become more and more important. We have already seen the lockdowns and how important digital content became. And given the thrust of the government on digital India, we think the opportunity is immense. It's opening up, and there is and this is an opportunity that as players in the development sector, all of us really must tune in and share our resources and collaborate so that we can come up with better and better digital content that can lead to better impact. And with that, I would like to thank the organizing team for giving us the opportunity to share our work, and also for organizing this webinar, because it's really important to share our experiences and resources. Thank you.
Thank you so much. उषा जी, मतलब आपका एक्सपीरियंस सुन के बहुत अच्छा लगा. बेटी के 9th के एग्जाम के लिए बेस्ट ऑफ लक. And Mayuk and Anusha, thank you so much for sharing the details. I think you made some very, very important points. I've in fact written some of them. The importance of needs assessment to identify content information needs, building message recall when you're creating content, making sure that there is one single message in every content piece that you're creating, and also the importance of offline engagement. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. In fact, I see some questions on the chat box coming for you already, which we will tackle, when we get into the Q&A session. And of course, I'm always a big fan of Buddhimani. So thank you so much for coming here and sharing your insights. Our next speakers today are Nirmala and Sangeeta from Gramvani. Nirmala Kumari is a community reporter with Gramvani. And she's also an ex-job resource person from Jivika, the Bihar Rural Livelihood Mission, having facilitated employment for more than 200 youth from our block in Bihar. As a community reporter, she mobilizes girls and women to engage them on the mobile content platform created by Gramvani, informs them about their rights, and helps them access various government schemes and benefits. And Sangeeta Saini is a seasoned development communications professional. She is currently the program lead for the Gender and Child Rights vertical at Gramvani. Sangeeta specializes in content ideation, script writing, design, and implementation of campaigns on issues like sexuality, reproductive health, gender rights, violence against women, and health for radio, mobile, and phone IVR-based platforms. Over to you, Sangeeta and Nirmalaji.
Thank you, Ritesh. Hello, hi everyone. So in Gramvani, we have 3 major pillars. One is content, technology, and then field. So I will start with the contributions that we receive on our platform. So we will start with that. So I play a contribution here. Just a second. Is it audible to everyone?
Sangeeta, yes, but it's not very clear, I think.
Yeah, because it's recorded on a phone by a caller, common community member. So I will also explain it.
बहुत सी महिलाओं ने यह नंबर काम में लिए, काफी सवाल भी पूछे, उन्हें जवाब भी मिला है। यह अनुभव एकदम नया रहा है। हमारे लिए एक बात बहुत अच्छी लगती है, इसमें सब कुछ गोपनीय रखा जाता है। मैं यही चाहती हूँ कि ये सेवा आगे भी चलती रहे। धन्यवाद।
This woman has recorded from Rajasthan about having a safe space through this platform that we have created. She said that I not only get answers of my questions, but my identity is also remains anonymous, which is the best part of this platform. So similar to this women, several women has recorded different sort of stories on the platform. So I will go to another story where the caller explained like how the information she has received through this platform has helped her in her own life. she was 3 months pregnant. She heard about the information on the platform, and then after listening to that particular information, she was able to understand what kind of care a pregnant women require. So this helped her in her life. And then another story is about bringing change in our own life. So like this is an actionable contribution that we have received. A woman recorded that the toilets of our local panchayat school used to remain locked and girls had no access to it. After listening to Nilima's story, I mobilized women and raised the issue with school principal to unlock the washroom. After a few discussions, the washroom was opened and now girls can freely access it. So these sort of stories come only when the content is effective. People are able to understand what we are trying to convey to them. So now I will explain how this system, this platform works. So Gramvani runs a Mobile Vani platform, which is an interactive platform, voice-based platform. People give a missed call on a mobile number and they get a call back from our server. Once they receive the call back, they can navigate on the platform. They can listen to different sort of information pieces, different content on the platform. And while listening to these content pieces, they can also express themselves. They can also record something, like whatever expressions they have about the content, whether this is their opinion or their experiences related to the thematic message that we have conveyed on the platform. They record these messages on the platform. And along with that, they can also access recordings left by other callers on the platform. So this is how this platform is interactive. And when we develop any content, we are able to get feedback directly in callers' voices on the platform. And this is how this platform becomes participatory for community. And once we receive the contributions from callers, our role is to publish that on the platform. We have a moderation team, editorial team who listen to each and every recording and decide whether this recording should be published or like what kind of action they should take based on the editorial policy. And throughout this process, we also analyze the data. Like once this pattern is going on, we receives statistics like how many calls we are receiving, from how many callers we are receiving this call, what kind of content people are accessing more on the platform, what kind of recordings they are leaving on the platform, and for how long they are listening to the content, different content on the platform. So this is how we run this platform. And let's go to the next one. So the objective of running any content on this Mobile Vani platform, our objective is to make it participatory and interactive so that people are able to understand that, and we are also able to understand what people are liking and disliking, and what will be the best way to present the content for them. And this platform gives them a safe space to exchange their thoughts, their ideas and opinions. So when people listen to the content, everyone is not very open to speak. But if 1,000 people are listening to any content, there will be at least 10% or 20% of them who will express themselves. So they will not be only listening to the content, they will not only listening other people on the platform, they will also express themselves. They will contribute what they think about the content on thematic areas. And then when we are developing any content, we try and engage community with that people, and the engagement can be measured through the number of calls we are receiving, the kind of recordings they are leaving on the platform, and whatever content we develop, we should have contributions from callers, because these contributions will help us understand their feedback. And people should be able to get some sort of information which will help them in changing their attitude, changing, there will be practice level changes will also be made by the content. and they based on the recordings they make or they access the platform, we also get insights on the qualitative and quantitative data, and which helps us measure the impact and success of the program. So when we are developing any content, so from Gramvani, our objective is to get answers of a few questions. For whom we are developing this content, what kind of content we want to develop, how this content will be implemented, and then why are we developing this content. So from our end, these are the questions which we want to answer. And there are challenges that community face while accessing content. So when we say that this content, first we have to decide what should be our target audience. We know that women is our target audience, but what kind of women are they? Are they adolescent girls? Are they agricultural workers? Or they are a person with disability? Or they are part of some SHG? Like these women can be anyone from the society. So we have to keep in mind the exact group. The classification should be there. So once we are clear on the audience, exact audience base, then through our program, what we are trying to do, we want to provide some sort of information. For example, I have mentioned we want to provide information on menstruation, and we will try myth busting. But this is what we want to do. But will audience be able to access that, considering their taboos and the existing social norms associated to this theme? So we have to consider that as well while developing any content. And then how this content will be implemented, how people will be accessing this content. They will be accessing this content through Mobile Money platform, through the IVR platform. So at this stage, we should know whether women has the access to mobile phones, whether they have internet. So in our work, we have noticed that women have very limited access to mobile phones, and every household would have a phone, but that phone may be with the male member of the family. Once the male member comes back to home, they get the phone for just speaking to people. This is the major use they have for the phone. So we have to consider that aspect as well while designing content and find ways to address that. I will come to that in the later part of the presentation, and even Nirmala ji will also be speaking about that, how she addressed this gap while mobilizing community. And then the objective of this content is to empower women, to build confidence so that they are comfortable in talking about different issues, whatever they face, or like what are their concerns, and they should be strong in making decisions for themselves. But this can't happen like so easily. So like if we are expecting this to happen, content alone cannot do that. Along with that, there are several other ways we should consider. Like we should collaborate with different stakeholders, different subject matter experts who can provide support to them. For example, we have played a content on asking like informing people that this is the helpline number where you can report domestic violence cases. Just dial this number and report the case. Will they be able to do that? Don't they need any support? Or even if they dial that number and ask for the support, and then that support mechanism happens there, and meanwhile women may face different issues, like she is threatened at the time. What will she do in that situation? Are we going to support her? So we have to find those support mechanism while developing any content. So content alone cannot help them to make change in their lives. So there should always be a support mechanism available for them. And like the process that we follow while designing content, once we have identified the audience for whom we are going to develop this content, the major part is to understand what content needs they have. So we have to understand that as well while designing the content. So once we have identified audience, and we also know that, okay, we will develop the content around domestic violence, but what are we going to convey through domestic violence? What exactly people wants to understand about domestic violence? We should understand that directly from them. We should go to the community, speak to people. We should do at Gramvani, we do the need assessment. Through need assessment, we get to know about different aspects from them. Like during need assessment, there are different round of activities we do. Like we do FGDs, we do one-to-one interviews with them. We also while we are in the community, we also observe the community. We see, we observe them, what kind of lifestyle they have, how they speak, how they express themselves. So these observations help us in building a character, designing a story, because the stories should be relatable to them. So while doing need assessment, we should understand what kind of needs they have, under the domestic violence, what exactly we should convey to them, and what are their issues, like what are their barriers in accessing this sort of information or implementing that in their lives. So we try and understand that through directly through the communities, and we also check on the what should be the duration of the content, which women will be able to which help them women to understand the content properly. In general, in Gramvani, we because this is an IVR platform, mobile based platform, so we can't have long audio capsules. The audio capsule should be 4 to 5 minutes long. And along with that, we also check on the format. What should be the content format for that? So the format can be drama, storytelling. We can have quizzes, or we can have conversations between two characters, or the program anchors. So there are several formats. We also we go with some samples for the community. We play those samples for them and see which what information, through which sample they are able to connect. So this is how we decide what format should be there for the our content. And then during this visit, we also see if women have the access to phone, how many women in those particular groups have their own mobile phones, or those who have mobile phone at their home, and they have mobile phone at home, but is it available to them, and for how many hours it is available, what time it is available to them. So we have to get those information also while doing needs assessment with community, and on the language as well, because we are talking to them, we are getting an idea on the language, the way they speak, and what kind of words they are using for different things. So we observe that as well while doing the needs assessment. And during that session only, we also get an understanding on the mobilization process. We will play the content on the Mobile Money platform, but how people will be accessing this content, how we should mobilize community to access that content. We try and find those ways while doing need assessment in the community. And once the need assessment is completed, the main part comes in, where we have to develop message metrics, a content plan based on the need assessment findings. So the message metrics should convey broader themes to us. What should be our key messages? Every key message, every theme can have several key messages, and several key messages cannot be conveyed in a single content piece. So we have to decide on that as well. How many key messages can be clubbed in one particular audio capsule, and are they in sync? Like if we are trying to convey 3 key messages, will people be able to understand all 3 key messages through one audio capsule? So we have to work on that as well while designing that content plan. And this content plan helps us understand the key messages and how we are going to implement those key messages to the community. And in that particular content plan, we also mention the plots, the story that we are going to have, and the story will be relatable to community. When we had visited to conduct need assessment, we have identified several stories from ground, and out of those several stories, we will choose one or two stories, or depending upon the format that we are choosing, we will be deciding on making relatable stories, multiple stories, or a single story in a series. So this is how we we design the content plan. And once the content plan is developed, while developing content plan, we also consider secondary research, like other organizations who have worked around the same themes, what kind of informations they have, how their project was successful. We see, we check on the reports and different sort of data that we can get through secondary research. But the primary research is very important while designing any content. And then while designing the content plan, we also decide on the feedback processes. Like once a content is developed, like content plan is ready, we will work on the scripting. And once the script is ready, we should always pre-test that content in the community. So at that level, we do the pre-testing, and then the content is recorded, the content is produced. And once the content is produced, again, we will go to the community. We will the community feedback will happen in two manners. One, our field team, our community champions like Nirmala ji will provide feedback that this sort of story will work. Yeah, I am able to understand that, and the community will also be able to understand, or what kind of changes we should make in to make that relatable to community, to that they are able to understand things properly. So we get feedback from them, and then we also do the pre-testing with community as well, to understand if and based on the pre-testing with community and our community champions, our field team, we make changes in the content, we finalize those content packages, and we design a calendar and a schedule for Mobile Vani. Because on Mobile Vani, as I said, people give missed call on a number, they get a call back, and they listen to different instructions and access the content. At a time, callers can listen to 10 content pieces. These content pieces can be episodes or the recordings left by different callers on the platform. So we have to create a proper schedule to run this content. And that schedule can be similar to a TV program. In a TV program, a program comes between 8 to 8:30. So we will also be doing similar practice for our Mobile Vani platform. We will have particular time slots on Mobile Vani platform, and we will also decide on the frequency. Should we run this content, should we run this campaign on weekly basis? Like we should have every episode, every fresh episode should be available on weekly basis, or we should have fortnightly episodes. So, but it also depends upon the thematic area which we are covering. Like if we are covering any tabooed subject, for that, like on SRH, we are doing any campaign. So the frequency should be weekly, because people have listened to the first content. They should not forget what they had listened in the previous episode. And mostly when we are doing series, we are doing drama. The drama helps them understand tabooed subject better. They find that relatable. But the frequency should also be decided for most of the drama content, and based on social norms, these content should have weekly frequency. And once the content is available on the platform, then the next step starts to follow the statistic, to follow the contributions that they to follow the listenership we have received, we are receiving through that content on the platform. So when people are listening to the content, we, as I said, we get statistics, and based on statistics, we decide whether we should make further changes to our content. So the content is not that we have designed a content plan. Now this is static. We will not make any changes to that. Or we have produced a content. We have published that on the platform. So now we will not make any changes to that. So based on the listenership, we will have to decide on making further changes to that content based on community understanding. So along with that, community members' role also start, because when the content is live on the platform, our community members will go in the field, mobilize community to listen to the content. They will inform them how this platform works, how they can access the content, how they can make recordings on the platform. So for that particular thing, we also provide some guiding question to our team members. So they follow those guiding questions while communicating to communities. Like they listen to content in groups, and while listening to that content, they also do discussions on that. And for discussion, they should have some guiding questions. So we provide that as well to them. And apart from that, following statistics, apart from all this, we also do some surveys to understand the efficacy. Like before running content and after running content, we will do the pre and post surveys. And on the scripting part as well, I will add a few more points. Like while designing scripts, the script structure that Gramvani follows, and even whenever we are developing any content, we should follow that. Once the content should be opened through, like there should be an opening line, then there should be a body, and then a call to action, and then it will be closed, a closing. So the opening will establish the story, and the body will have the key messages. Then the call to action will encourage community to speak on the platform about the messages they have received. There will be Q questions. The call to actions are generally the Q questions for community. And then there will be a closing, which will inform them about the next steps, like what schedule of next program, like what in next week, what kind of content they are going to hear. So that sort of scripts we develop. At a glance, this is what we follow. We select themes in consultation to our partners. Then we do needs assessment. We develop the content plan. Content plan should have call to actions, timeline, schedule, key messages, and then actual content creation comes in, where we write scripts, produce, record that, produce that, do the field testing, publish that on the platform, do the response solicitation. So the response solicitation also happens in different ways. Like we have received UGCs from callers, and these recordings can be played as it is on the platform on different ranks as a playlist basically. And we also develop specific content pieces out of those recordings to because these are generally called UGC based episodes, user generated content episodes, because these episodes encourage people to speak more, to express themselves. These type of content these type of content are basically acknowledgement for the community. So we also develop those content while doing content development for the platform. And we also do the analysis, pre and post surveys, UGC's analysis, yani the recordings that we have received on the platform. We will listen to all those recordings and see what people are expressing. And when we are running any campaign, we should receive impact stories also, because the impact stories are something that helps us understand the success of a particular campaign. This is what we have about what works for community, like especially for women. So when we develop content, we basically think about different aspects, like what should be the characters we have. The characters for women that works better are the characters should be strong, positive characters. Women should be able to see role models in those characters. So I also have some examples of these characters: Nilima, Munni, Dr. Sneha Mathur. These are very strong characters that we had built for our platforms. Dr. Sneha Mathur, Population Foundation of India had developed a series, Main Kuch Bhi Kar Sakti Hu. It is based on that. So the Dr. Sneha character is from there. But the characters that we have built, Nilima, we had run a campaign on elected women representatives' involvement in resolving community issues, especially with the feminist approach for women. So while the character came in our mind when we were in the needs assessment. We spoke with people, we identified their issues, and while identifying issues, we also tried and prompt them to express the stories where women were able to resolve the issues. They became a role model in their society, not exactly in society, but at least in their life, and people know that these women can be a role model. So this is how we develop characters. And then Munni was also a similar character. So why we develop this sort of characters? Because when women listen to these characters, and generally women, we already know what kind of situation women have in our society. In this situation, considering these sort of situations, it is difficult for them to see themselves as a strong woman, or women who can inspire others. When they listen to such women on platform, they feel encouraged. They feel inspired, and sometimes several women also come and they try and resolve the problems they face in their lives. So this is why we try and have the role model sort of characters. And whenever we are talking about women issues and covering any sort of women issues, we should always go with a positive approach. Like, we will be talking about the problems, but those problems should be in a way that, like, we cannot have a weak character, because the weak character may make women emotional, and the grief will also increase. They may not feel that they may feel that this woman is also like us, and she is also not able to resolve the problems she is facing. So when we are designing these characters, we also show the problems she has in her life, but she is able to make changes, and how she is making these changes. All that will also be in the content. And then the language. When we are deciding on the language, when we are deciding on the language, we also during need assessment only, and through the UGCs, the contributions that we receive on the platform, we get to know the terminologies people use for different stuff. What should be the local, what should be the, what words we should use for different things. For example, Masik Dharm or Mahavari is known as MC among women, elder women. And when we are working with adolescent girls, we may have, we may change this particular term to period, because girls will be able to understand that term.
So because we basically started very late, but I'm sure we'll have a few questions for you. Just one more point I wanted to make. Sangeeta did talk about an IVRS platform and the Mobile Money platform that Gramvani runs. For people who do not understand what an IVR platform is, I mean, just imagine a Twitter platform which doesn't allow any text, only allows audio, and to access which you need to call up a phone number instead of logging online. That's in a nutshell what an IVRS platform is. And obviously we can sort of have more conversations if you're interested, or you can reach out to Sangeeta and she'll be able to tell you more. So thank you so much, Sangeeta. I'm sorry we couldn't hear Nirmala ji today. I think there was some problem with her audio.
Yeah,
and I
right.
see now she's now sort of dropped off. But thank you so much for that presentation. I'll maybe just take a quick minute to see if there are questions for you or Mayuk or Anusha. And I'll just open it up. So if any of you have any questions, please just put up your raise hand function. I do see a few questions on a question on the chat, which Anusha has already answered. While you're thinking, maybe I'll just ask one question and then take one question from you if you have. Both Anusha and Sangeeta, you all made a very important point about, so Anusha talked about offline engagement and its importance in ensuring optimum learning. Sangeeta, you talked about the relevance of providing offline support mechanism. And that content will just not be enough. So any other aspects you think which offline mechanisms or offline interventions should sort of respond to apart around the content that you'll build, or are these just two important things? And we talked about promotions, we talked about learning optimization, we talked about support mechanism. Any other thoughts?
I'm so
You're on
sorry.
mute, Sangeeta.
I lost you for a second. Can you just repeat the question?
Of course. I was just saying that, so, both Anusha and you talked about, the importance of offline interventions. And I think we covered the importance of promotion of the platform. We talked about optimization of learning, through offline channels. And you specifically talked a lot about creating support, providing support mechanisms. So, we've known of cases where, there is an SBCC campaign and you get an emergency call and, you have to be ready to sort of be able to refer them somewhere. I guess that's what you meant by support mechanism. My question was, apart from these three aspects, are there other aspects as well, which any offline intervention around communication projects that should be kept in mind?
Sangeeta, do you want to go first?
I think you can go first.
Okay. So what you've said is more or less actually what Sangeeta was also saying during her presentation is a lot what even I had covered. So we are quite in sync with what we were thinking of digital content and women. No, so I think as of now, and of course, we haven't worked specifically with domestic violence. We have worked with women and women's issues, but our work has mostly been surrounding with financial literacy and digital literacy.
Yeah.
So, so always the drive was that, when you're teaching somebody how to do digital payment and they don't even have an access to a phone, like the supporting equipment. So what are we trying to do? And also these technology that we build do not cater to the people. So they don't understand. All of these technology that you build are mostly in English or in other languages. So the technology that is built is not technically built for the audience that are ultimately going to consume it. So
exactly.
So in a way, there's a lot of initially, so you have to teach them, of course, how to use the technology, but also people who are making technology need to know who they're catering to by the end of the day. So that entire ecosystem of creation as well as consumption should be, should be thought about. And of course, support system, support mechanism that Sangeeta was also talking about in terms of the legal department and everybody else on board. But other than that, also, in our cases, also it has been the support system has to be the family. So when we are, when you're talking about matters about women-related issues or anything else, we have found it really helpful when we bring in their spouses for these meetings, or when we are bringing their children in these meetings, or any other elders. So the support system that you're talking about, again, so these are all different different systems that you have to build very slowly and steadily to ensure that a YouTube video or like a training app voiceover module or any sort of thing is being consumed correctly. So it's like a lot of groundwork and offline work has to happen for one YouTube video or one Buddhimani character to click. So that's what we have also learned over suppose if it's a two-year intervention, like a solid 1 year groundwork has led to say, and after a year, people now starting to consume digital content and getting into digital payment or, tracking other things. So there's a lot of that has happened. So Sangeeta, maybe you can add to something.
Anusha has already covered several points on this. So I will add to the support system only, basically. So when we are talking about support system, it's not just that we will have subject matter experts or we will have Mukhiya, Panchayat members supporting community, police or any legal aspect. So we can also have collectives, like we can have group meetings where women will be coming. They will we can set up listening groups where women will be listening to the content. They will be discussing about it, and they will also be they will not only be talking about the content they have listened to. They they will also share on different aspects. So basically, promoting women collectives is very important. Exactly. So because women collective is something which is very close to them, and those collectives will have better trust. Like people will be able to feel comfortable in expressing their problems with them. Yeah. And then we can have the community influencers also.
Completely. So yeah, I mean, my only point is that, so I completely adhere to the concept of, content being king, but at the same time, just because content is king doesn't mean that it can do everything. And especially it's very different from the way conventional, let's say a Bollywood sort of would approach content based work to what communications for development sort of will have to look into the aspects which both of you sort of pointed out, which is sort of which will require people to sort of also intervene offline along with the content to make sure that there is optimum impact. So thank you both for that. Just one more question from me. If you can talk a little bit about the data tracking when you're looking at, when you're putting out content and you're sort of building interventions around that. I'm sure there are some broad indicators that you generally like to look at to see if a content piece is doing well or people are finding it relevant. So what are those? I mean, if you could just maybe share one or two. Any of you can go first, yeah.
I think in our case, data is quite handy because obviously for any intervention, you will have some indicators to measure the success. So those indicators will be part of your content metrics. Like I could show you an example of having such indicators.
If you could just maybe talk about one or two indicators that you have in mind that, these are the numbers I look at to understand if this episode is done well or not.
So for example, these callers, statistics that we receive is one indicator, and the kind of contributions that people recording on our platform is another indicator. And whenever we are doing any campaign, we also create some thematic area segregation, and we identify our moderation team when listening to any content pieces, they also mark those thematic areas, which helps us understand on what thematic areas people are talking and what kind of recordings they are leaving. Every time we don't have to listen to each and every recording to see how our content has been effective or it's not effective at all. So those things helps us identifying that. And with every episode, we also have a particular indicator related to that particular episode. For example, like again, I'll give you an example about domestic violence theme. When people listen to any content on domestic violence, the like forms of domestic violence, for example, they have listened to that content, and in the call to action, we will ask them that call to action will be linked to our indicator that once they have listened to that particular content, like they have got the information on different forms of domestic violence, people will record on the platform what they have understood through that.
Okay. So you mean basically an iterative process where you listen to the sort of conversations people are having, but also at the same time, once you put out a piece of content, what are the reactions of people to that? So I think those are very important indicators that you talked about.
And,
Anusha, any
yeah, just additionally adding to what Sangeeta said, of course, we also make similar processes, but like suppose if you have a training app, which we have currently. So an indicator as basic as we track how much time a woman has spent on a video or a certain module, right? So something as basic an indicator as how much time she has spent or has she revisited that video. So because in the training app, each of the women have their own profiles built into it. So when you track those kind of numbers, as in which videos are revisited by the same woman, and what is the time that she's spending and what is the traction a particular module is getting. So that also sort of like quantitatively helps you to make decisions on, what works and what doesn't work. So that is just additionally adding to the other feedback and the offline things and reaction and feedback that you get. Other than that, like a little bit more technology side of thing, you also had like a dashboard built with indicators set up for each of the things that you have. So you consume based on those data as well, and that data is interpreted, and you make decisions based on that.
Wonderful. So thank you so much. I think it's time for us to wrap up, and we've actually gone way ahead of time today. So thank you everyone for your patience. Thank you speakers. Nirmala ji, we couldn't hear you, but you, Usha ji, Sangeeta, Anusha, Mayuk, for taking the time to be here despite your busy schedules. Thank you, attendees. Please also note that if you have any further questions for our speakers, you can write to me, and I can either seek responses or directly connect you to the speakers, whatever is easiest. And I hope to see you next month during the third webinar of the speaker series 2. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.